Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The title of today's talk is Spiritual Self-Defense. Anyone here taking self-defense of any sort? Taekwondo or karate? Anyone doing anything? Not so many people, right? Nowadays, if you know karate or taekwondo, so people with a pistol can just shoot you and can't do anything to defend yourself. But Qigong and Tai Chi is getting to be very popular now. People are doing that not so much for self-defense as so much for health reasons, disease defense. These days, cancer and heart disease are very common. So people are more health conscious and doing all sorts of exercises. Right or not? When I was small, when I was in sixth form, I was a prefect. When I became a prefect, some of our board members said, hey, you better take up self-defense, Those boys can be very naughty. You try to be too clever and then they'll beat you up when you're out of school. So that was one of the reasons why I took up self-defense in my school days. And when you learn self-defense, they teach you various steps. The basic step is, of course, the horse stance. Whether you're doing taekwondo or karate or tai chi, you have to learn how to stand in the horse stance, which is supposed to be a very stable sort of posture. After you have mastered that, then they will teach you a side stance and various other positions and postures. So today, in spiritual self-defense, there are also several steps that you can take. And I have named these steps following somewhat the way the Chinese name their stances, like the praying mantis stance of the eagle swooping over the rock or something, right? I'm going to give you 5 steps. The first step is called scarecrow. The second step is called hard heart. The third one is called soft heart. The fourth one is called open heart. The fifth one is called clear heart. So what are the 5? Scarecrow, hard heart, soft heart, open heart, and clear heart. What is a scarecrow? What is a scarecrow? Did you see any around SPS? What do you think those scarecrows are for? Not scaring the crows. To scare the wild boars. But wild boars are very smart creatures, You put out the scarecrow, they'll be scared for a few days, and then they see that the scarecrow is quite harmless. Then they should come back again, right under the scarecrow. The wild boars are creating havoc here because they come into our slopes and then they dig for grub and worms. And because they dig up the grass, that causes erosion because we are at the steep slopes. So we have been trying various ways to deter them from coming in, and scarecrows was one of our strategies, but it didn't work. So anyway, we are doing something else now. So the essential function of a scarecrow is to scare pests away. And it's there as a preventive measure. You put it there so they don't come near you. We have a similar principle in spiritual self-defense. When I talk about spiritual self-defense, I mean defending yourself against spirits and unseen beings. They can be quite troublesome sometimes. So the first principle of having a scarecrow is very easy for most people. What they do is they go to the temple and ask for holy water, right or not? Or they ask for these holy strings they tie around your wrist. Or you ask for talismans. The Thai monks are very famous for giving away talismans or Buddha images. Some of these are quite powerful. You'll be surprised at the efficacy of it. Holy water, for example, can be quite effective. And there is, in fact, a scientific study that was made in Japan by some Japanese scientists. They make a very highly magnified photograph of the structure of water before and after chanting. And they found that the molecular structure or the crystalline structure of water, when it is magnified many times through an electron microscope, seems to be very haphazard before chanting. But after chanting is done, it becomes very, very ordered and beautiful. And the order of how the crystals are arranged or are formed signifies that there is an order in it and a harmony after chanting has been done. So although physically with the naked eye we cannot tell blessed water and ordinary water, but actually there are some molecular changes that have been made because of the chanting. To give you one example of how effective this can be, some years ago I was staying in another hill over the other side. It's called Air Kuning. That was in 1999, I think. They built a little kuti for me there before I started this place. And I stayed there alone. And there was one person who was employed by the orchard owner to take care of the place. He was actually quite a tough person, a gangster. So a very tough guy. He was doing his work down at the foothill. One day, as he was doing his work there, he felt an eerie feeling. There were goose pimples all over his body. And then he went back home and he felt sick. He felt sick, so he slept, and he had a dream of this woman. She was dressed in white, like a nun, bald-headed, and she asked him, says, "Can you help me? I want to go up there to where the monk is staying, but I can't go up there. Can you help take me up?" She wants to come up to where I'm staying, but somehow or other she cannot come up. There's some invisible protective barrier that is preventing her from coming up to see me. So he comes up sometimes to see me, to help around in his motorbike. So probably she wants to pump a lift on the motorbike to come up. So he said, "How can I help you?" He says, no, you're always going up there. I cannot go up, Missy. So please, next time you go up, I want to go up also. And then he felt really very sick, cannot eat and fever. The next day he came to see me and told me this story. Then he asked me, how can I help him to get well again? So I said, well, in that case, what you do is go and get some bamboo or some coconut leaves and bring me some water. The way the Thai monks do, they dip in the water and then they usually. That was the first time I did it, I've never done this sort of things before. So he came up and he went to find the coconut leaves and brought some water for me. And I said, okay, this is drinking water, this is for you to wash. And another one, I put it into a bowl and I did some chanting some paritas. And then after that, I dipped the bunch of leaves into the water and then sprinkled on him. And he said miraculously, the moment I sprinkled on him and the water touched him and he felt better already. And then after that, I said, okay, this is for you to drink. And this one, you go back, you mix with water and you bathe. So he went back home. Next day, when I came down for Pindabat, I met him along the way. He came to do his work. And I said, how are you? Oh, he says, I'm okay already, thank you. So it can be very effective. Also, it's very easy for lay people because you all don't have to do anything. All you need to do is go and see a monk, chant for you, finish. Right? Sometimes instead of holy water, what you get is the holy thread. People chant and then give you a thread you tie around your wrist. There are also many talismans that are available since a long time ago. Very famous one is Lompo Thot. You heard about that, right? Lompo Thot, very famous, very powerful. And in Thailand, they have all sorts of talismans. Some is to protect you from firearms, some to protect you from knives, some protect you from accidents, some to bring prosperity to you, some is for you to charm a woman you like. All sorts of things are available. Some are anti-black magic. If you wear the talisman, then it seems that evil spirits cannot come and disturb you. In Burma, they have many spirit cults. Some of these people were also spirit cult leaders before in the past life, and they are reborn in an existence where they have still connections with the world. In these spirit cults, if you want to be a member, you have to go through a certain initiation ceremony. Of course, this is not very Buddhistic, but it seems that some of these good spirits are Buddhist spirits. So you have to take the 3 refuges and you have to take the 3 precepts, not all of the 5 precepts. It's okay to kill and it's okay to take liquor, but the other 3 in the middle cannot do. It's a very strange sort of precepts. Then after that, they inoculate you with a certain herbal concoction. And because of the inoculation, you become a member. And so the spirits can recognize that you are their member. You are also invested with certain powers, You can even become an exorcist. If someone is possessed by a spirit, you can go there and invoke your cult spirits to come and exorcise the spirit. And ask the spirit to come out and say, why are you possessing this body? Why are you causing trouble? And depending on the power of the cult and the cult spirits, they can help to exorcise evil spirits. Then again, because these Buddha images and these talismans have some connection with the spirit world, it may not sometimes be very good to collect them. When I came back from Myanmar in 94, I went to Sarawak for about 4 years to do my own personal retreat. When I was staying in Sarawak in 1998, one layman came to see me where I was doing my own solitary meditation retreat to come to consult me about his problems with meditation. He said that when he meditates, sometimes he will see a giant coming to stand beside him. Sometimes cockroaches will come and just bite him when he's having good samadhi. As I interrogated him, I found out that he was actually a very avid collector of talismans and Buddha images. He likes to collect Buddha images, likes to collect all these talismans. and put it in his house all over the place. Then when I heard that, I said, oh, that's the cause of your problem. Because some of these talismans, they have connections to spirits. And the spirits, when they see you meditating, they don't like you. Because why? When you meditate, you become higher than them. You become more virtuous than them. You're more spiritually higher class. And they have to go below you, you know. So they are jealous, they come and disturb you. There's this story of a meditation teacher in Myanmar. Before he came into meditation, he was also a cult. He was in this spirit cult. It's very popular for them to have this so-called rosary beads, 108 beads, and then they will recite the virtues of the Buddha mentally. Itipiso bhagava rahang sama sambuddho. They will do that 1,000 times, 2,000 times, and because of that, when your mind calms down, then they can communicate with spirits. So this meditation teacher, before he started to do Vipassana meditation, was into this telling beads. One day as he was doing that, he saw an image of a person coming to see him. He is what we call a Vizado. Vizado is a Burmese word for Vijadara. Vijadara is a group of people who practice for the occult sciences. They can have certain psychic powers through the use of mantras and through certain concoctions made of herbs and elements. So this Vizado, he came in his vision and said, we have some karmic affinity. Come, you can help me to save people. So he says, I will give you some medicine. And I will ask one of my disciples to bring that medicine to you on such and such a day. So after he got up from his meditation on the beads, sure enough, a day or so later, a person whom he didn't know before came with some medicine to give him. And then he said, who asked you to give me this medicine? He says, I don't know, when I was sleeping at night, I had a dream. And then the next morning I woke up, this medicine was by my bedside. And this person in a dream told me to bring this medicine to give it to you. Okay, so to cut a long story short, later when this Sayadaw went into Vipassana, he was meditating. I think he was having that medicine on the table, higher than where he was sitting. As he was meditating, he saw, all these spirits telling him, don't put that thing so high, because now that you're meditating, you are higher than us. We cannot stay up there. You must put us lower than you. So I told this guy in Sarawak that the cause of your problem is probably because of all these talismans and Buddha images that you are keeping. So if you really want to progress in your meditation, you must get rid of them. And he said, Ayo, like that how? If I give to my friends, all these spirits will be disturbing them. And I said, you give back to the person from whom you got it from. So eventually he got rid of it. And a few years later, when I returned to Sarawak, he met me. And he said now his meditation is going on very well. Since he got rid of that, no more disturbances. So getting talismans may not be such a good idea. The second step is heart. And this sort of stance can also help you, and it can also be just as powerful depending on yourself, because you have to put in some effort. This is by chanting yourself. Even a very basic chant like Buddhang Saranang Gacchami can be a very powerful mantra. Not to speak of Itipiso, which is a longer one. There is a story of a boy from the commentaries. I think he was running an errand in the late evening. And then he was tired, so he went to lie down by a charnel ground at the pavilion. And he fell asleep, and then he woke up and it was dark already. And there were no street lamps during those times, so he couldn't go home. So he had to stay for the night in the charnel ground. Charnel ground is not like a cemetery, you know. Cemetery is quite neat compared to a charnel ground. You know what's a charnel ground? Charnel ground is the place where they throw the corpses. In India during those times, they don't bury. They just throw the corpses there, and the corpses just rot. Or animals or birds will come and eat them up. So, as he fell asleep, he was woken up in the middle of the night because a yakha was coming to eat him. So he got a shock, he got up, and then the first thing he did was he shouted, "Buddho, Buddho." Very simple, only Buddho, Buddho. The moment the yakha heard the word Buddho, he ran away. So he was saved because of that Buddho chant. I can give you a personal experience of mine that happened 25 years ago when I was in MBMC, Malaysian Buddhist Meditation Center in Penang. At that time I was just a Samanera. I think I just got 1 year as a Samanera. And at that time, the founder of MBMC, Lompo, went back to Tat Yai for some reason. And Venerable Ajahn Chamriang, the Malaysian Thai monk, came to visit MBMC, so he was the senior most monk there. And in the evening, we were sitting at the dining hall there, having a chat. And then one pretty young woman came into MBMC, and she was like in a daze, you know. She came and says, "Bhante, can you please help me? As I was walking along the road just now, someone passed this packet of leaf to me. And now I feel in a daze. I don't know what to do. Can you help me?" So Venerable Chanmyang says, "Oh, no problem. Just give this to him." He asked her to pass the packet to me, you know. And then asked me to throw it into the dustbin. And then he said, "Okay, now you repeat after me." He asked her to repeat Namo Tassa and Buddham Saranam Gacchami, the 3 refuges. After she did that, she said, "Oh, now I feel okay already. Thank you very much." And then she left. So after that, I felt a bit strange. I was not in a daze, but I felt a bit strange. In the evening, when I went back to my kuti, I lie down on my bed. And then at that time, I had all these goose pimples all over my body, you know. And my heart was shaking like mad. It was very early in the evening only, not late in the night. Couldn't sleep, and I felt very disturbed, very agitated. Goose pimples all over my body. At that time, I was new, you see. So what did I do? I just kept on reciting Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I just kept on chanting until it went away. So after that, it was okay already, no more. So even a simple thing like Buddham Saranam Gacchami can be helpful. Don't underestimate it. Don't think that you must learn some very long paritas to be able to protect yourself. So a simple thing like that also can work. Another time, In Kyung and myself were taking a walk in Kuala Kubu Baru. In Kyung was my kapiya and can do chanting very well, almost like a monk. So early in the morning, we went for a walk. He took me in his car along the road to Fraser's Hill. That time, they had already designated a place to build the reservoir. So that time, we went into that place and took a walk around the jungle. As we passed one particular bush, In Kyung suddenly felt strange, you know. He said, "Hey, how come I'm so itchy? Like some things are pricking me all over the place, you know, my whole body." But it was not an insect bite. They were just pricking. Oh, then I said, it's time to do chanting. So he did some chanting, he did itipiso. but not verbalized. He did only mentally, Before he reached the second verse, the thing already gone. So don't underestimate chanting. If you learn chanting in your Sunday school, make sure that you learn it well, and whenever you get into trouble, you can try to make use of it. This was even suggested by the Buddha in a sutta called the Aggacitta, where the Buddha said that if a bhikkhu dwelling in the forest is suddenly frightened, then he should recollect the virtues of the Buddha or the Dhamma or the Sangha. The third step is soft heart. Soft heart means to soften your heart. Just now hard is where you make your heart hard. When you are attacked by spirits, then you make your heart hard by chanting to give you your self-confidence. Now this third one is to soften your heart. How do you soften your heart? By doing metta, right? You know how to do metta meditation? Radiating metta, no, not just reciting ahang avero homi abhyabajo homi. If you just recite the Pali without understanding what you are doing, that's not metta, It's just recitation. Are you all familiar with the background story of Metta Sutta? That sutta, Karaniya Matakusalena. The background story is that there were a group of monks who went to stay for the Vasa in a forested area. And in the middle of the Vasa, they were disturbed by spirits. The reason was that at first, before the Vasa, they went to stay there for about a month to test and see whether that place is suitable for them. For that first month that they stayed before the Vasa, everything seems to be okay. Very nice and quiet and secluded, and they get good supporters, good food. And then they decided to stay for the next 3 months for the Vasa. Now actually there were a lot of 3 devas staying there. And because the monks were celibates and virtuous, so the 3 devas had to make way for them. If the monks were to stay under the 3 devas would have to go somewhere else to stay. They cannot stay near the monk because the monks were virtuous. So they accommodated the monks for 1 month. They thought maybe after 1 month they'll go back, then we can come back to our homes. But after 1 month, the monks found it so nice that they decided to stay on for another 3 months. And then after that, the devas could no longer stand. So in the end, they said, we must make these monks go. They came back and then they started to disturb the monks. They make funny sounds at night and then give them bad smell. You all know, when it's bad smell, you know there's something wrong already. And then make screams, sounds, and give them bad visions. And so all the monks were all very scared. And for the whole of the rainy season, they could not meditate very well. So at the end of the Vasa, they said, oh, must pack up, must go already. So they went back and went to see the Buddha. When they went to see the Buddha and then complained to the Buddha made use of his psychic power, and he saw that these monks can only do well and attain their goal by going back to that particular place. That is the best place for them to go. So that was when the Buddha gave this Metta Sutta. Karaniya Matakusalena Yandan Zandam Badang Abhisamecha. That was when the Buddha gave this sutta to them, asked them to recite this and practice accordingly. So they went back to that place there and they did metta the whole day, whether they're sitting or standing or walking. Whenever they are not asleep, whenever they are fresh and aware, then they do metta all the time. And because of the metta that they did, these devas were softened, their hearts were also softened. And instead of disturbing the monks, they came to help the monks. They sweep the compound for them and then help them in various ways. And by the end of that period they stayed there, all of them became arahants. So with metta, you can even overcome enmity from the evil spirits. Another story is Reverend Sujiva. He was meditating in Aggacitta one day, about 20-25 years ago. He went to stay in somebody's orchard land. And the orchard owner told him, this place is a bit wild, there are a few civet cats around. So if you hear any noises at night, don't be frightened. So he took his Thai Dutanga umbrella and the mosquito net, hang it under a tree at night, and then started to do meditation. He started off by doing some samatha meditation, by doing 32 parts of the body, head, hair, body hair, and all that. As he was doing that, he heard the very loud screeching. Wind was howling, and then the tree was shaking like mad, And then he said, oh, there must be the civet cat. So then he went on to continue his meditation. Head hair, body hair, nails, teeth, and so forth. The sound became worse. And then he stopped to think. He said, come to think of it, civet cats don't scream on, do they? Can't shake the tree so well. There must be more to it. And then he said, I better do some metta. So he did some metta. May I be well and happy. May all beings be well and happy. May all the ghosts around here be well and happy. At the moment he switched to metta, everything stopped. Quiet. Then he said, okay, now finish metta already. Come back to do my 32 parts of the body. When he came back to do the 32 parts of the body, the thing started to scream again and the tree started to shake again. So in the end, whole night he has to do metta. So doing metta is also another way. The fourth step is called open heart. How do you open your heart? Just now you soften your heart, now you open your heart. Open your heart means to share merits. You share merits with other beings. Give you one example. 5 years ago, we were in the process of starting SPS. I went with a group of devotees to Wat Panana Chat, Ajahn Chah's famous monastery for international monks. A group of the lay devotees were staying in a lodging that was allocated to them. 2 of them were staying in the same room. They woke up in the middle of the night and they saw a white figure in the room. I think they saw a female figure with a child or something. Then they tried to do metta. Do metta also cannot. They're still hanging around. So what they did was they share merits. After they share merits already, then no more. They went away. Sometimes these beings come because they want merits. There's also another story of some monks who were staying in Balai Pulau Buddhist hermitage up on the hill in Penang. There's also somebody's durian orchard. Then there was one particular kuti that is supposed to be haunted. So the monk was staying there, and then in the middle of the night, the ghost came. And then this monk said, yeah, why you come and disturb me? He said, I'm a young monk, you go up there, there's another monk up there, he can help you. So the ghost really went up, he left him alone, he went up there. So the other monk was up there, and then the ghost came. Then the monk knew what to do. He did metta, and he shared merits. And so he went away. So sometimes you share merits also, they will go away. This is another example of another forest monk in Myanmar. I don't know whether you've heard of Sayadaw U Jyotika or not, the one who wrote Snow in Summer. In his monastery, there was one monk who was staying there. Sayadaw U Jodika was not around. And this monk, regularly every night before he sleeps, he would share merits and then sleep. One day someone invited him out to town to give a Dhamma talk and to teach some meditation. When he came back, it was late at night. He was very sleepy, so he was lazy to share merits, so he just went to sleep. Then he was woken up in the middle of the night. Somebody was walking outside his kuti on the veranda. Dung, 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 dung. Then he remembered, oh, forgot to share merits, must share merits. So he shared merits, and then the thing ran away. So the fifth step is clear heart. How to make your heart clear? By practicing vipassana meditation. If you are able to be mindful of whatever that's happening around you, your mental state, even when you're afraid, if you are mindful of the sensations in your body, of your fear, then it will go away. If your mind is fully aware of what is happening, then it is clear, and at such a time, evil spirits cannot come and possess you. Even if they are around, they scare you also. If you are in control of your mind, you can be aware of your fright, then they cannot harm you in that way. There's the case of one young engineer. He died of cancer at a young age. After he died, he was in this spirit realm, and somehow or other he had a karmic affinity to another young man. He would sometimes possess that young man, and teach him Dhamma. Because this young engineer was also a meditator, he knows Dhamma. He would teach him the 5 precepts, teach him metta, teach him vipassana meditation. Although he was quite grateful for the teaching that he got from the spirit, he didn't quite like the idea of being possessed. Because he was out of his control, The spirit will come and possess him and he cannot do anything. It's under the control of the spirit. So, we went to see Reverend Sujiva about this. In fact, this spirit was the one who led him to Reverend Sujiva to ask Reverend Sujiva to teach him meditation. He would ask him to go to such a place, and then you will meet a certain sifu, and then he will teach you meditation. So he went there and then he told him about his story. And Reverend Sujiva taught him mindfulness meditation. And asked him, see, next time when you feel that he's coming already, you be mindful. Be fully aware, be mindful, watch your mind properly, then he cannot come. So, whenever he felt that the fellow is coming, he'll be very, very mindful. And then the fellow cannot enter him. So, your mind must be strong, and you must make it very clear. There is also a case of Venerable Sariputta. This may sound a bit strange to you. Venerable Sariputta, as you know, is the right-hand disciple of the Buddha. He excelled in wisdom, and he could do all the jhanas. Although there is no mention that he can do other psychic powers, but he developed the jhanas. He could go into the jhanas whenever he wanted to. So one day, on a full moon night, he had just shaven his head. He was sitting in the forest, deep in meditation. He was absorbed in a certain attainment, which was accompanied by upekkha, equanimity. It seems that he was not doing metta meditation at the time. He was absorbed in that attainment. Maybe it was fruition attainment. Maybe it was something else. We don't know. Not stated. As he was sitting absorbed in his attainment, 2 yakas flew over in the sky. And one of the yaka, when he saw Venerable Sariputta seated there under the full moon, and his head was just shaven, So it was very shining. It was reflecting the full moon. He saw and then he said, hey, I have this very strong urge, I want to give him a tight slap on the head. Can't resist that temptation. And then the other Yaka said, hey, better don't do that, no. This is a very powerful monk. Don't do that, you'll get into trouble. And they said, no, I have a very strong urge. Just want to go and hammer his head. There must be some reason for this, That's because of Venerable Sariputta's karma. He must have done something before like that in the past. So now, he can't run away from his karma. This Yaka also has some karmic link. He saw his head, he cannot resist the temptation. So for 3 times he said that. For 3 times his friend told him, please don't do that. He's a very powerful monk. You'll get into trouble. Then he said, no. So he went down and then he gave him a tight slap on the head. At that time, Venerable Moggallana, the foremost disciple of the Buddha in regards to psychic power, was using his divine ear, and he heard like the sound of a thunderclap. And then he was wondering why it was. And then he saw that this Yaka had hit Venerable Sariputta on the head, and the hit was so powerful, it was like a thunderclap. And yet, Venerable Sariputta's head was not damaged. If it could be anybody else's head, split into how many thousand pieces already. But then immediately after this Yaka hit Venerable Sariputta on the head, he died and was born in hell. Immediately. Because Venerable Sariputta was already an Arahant, he was absorbed in attainment, and then this Yaka couldn't resist himself and did that. So Venerable Moggallana, immediately he went to see Venerable Sariputta and asked him, he says, Avuso, how are you? Are you okay? He says, well, I just got up from my attainment and I feel like a slight headache. And then Venerable Moggallana said, wow, it's really wonderful, it's unbelievable. What has happened was this Yaka gave you such a tight slap that it sounded like a thunderclap. Anybody else's head would have been split to 1,000 pieces. But still, he said that you just had a slight headache. That was just wonderful. And Venerable Sariputta said, wow, this is really amazing. It's wonderful that Venerable Moggallana can hear that, because nobody else could hear it. So you must be very powerful to have the divine ear to hear that. So each of them were praising one another for their ability. The moral of this story is that when one is absorbed in concentration with very good mindfulness, even though you are attacked by spirits, you are not harmed. Let's go over the 5 steps again. What's the first one? Scarecrow. Second, hard heart. Soft heart. Open heart. Clear heart. Right? When you learn martial arts, they will teach you all many different steps. But you don't know when you're going to use them. Sometimes you have to use this, sometimes you have to use that, depending on conditions. So it doesn't mean that when you use one, it's going to work all the time. Right? So you must be versatile. You have all the tricks in your pocket. You try one, it doesn't work, you try another one. So don't say that, oh, I just take Scarecrow enough already. Sometimes that one might not be powerful enough. Then you have to try something else. Give you some examples of how we need to juggle around and see which one is better, or which one is more effective for that particular occasion. This one happened in Burma. One yogi went to Mahasi Meditation Center to meditate. Early in the morning, at about 3, 4 a.m., she would wake up. And then she would hear screams of beings who are suffering. Then she would do metta. But still the screams are there. She did second day, third day, fourth day. The screams are still there. So when she went for an interview, she reported it to her teacher. And then the teacher said, "They are not here because they want your metta. What do you think they are here for? They want your merits. So go back and then share merits." And so the next day, that's what she did. When she heard the sounds, instead of radiating metta, she shared merits. And after that, no more. Because when people who are meditating, they share merits, that is the greatest merit that you can have. So it's very powerful. Then another example is someone who did step number 1. This lady was from Malacca. Told me this story many years ago. I've forgotten the details already. I can remember only roughly what the story is about. She had some strange affinity with a Christian spirit. The Christian spirit would come and talk to her and tell her about the Bible, ask her to go to the church and go and tell the pastor that the pastor gave the wrong quotation. This is not the right one and this should be the one. Tell her to do all sorts of things, you know. And then after that, she felt that it's a bit strange for her to be going around doing these sort of things. And she wanted to actually be released from this burden. This Christian spirit, again and again, would ask her to go to church, ask her to preach to her friends, family members to become Christians. And she came from a traditional Taoist family. So she also didn't know what to do. Later on, someone introduced her to Brickfields. From Malacca, you know, she went all the way to Brickfields to see Chief Reverend. Chief was not around. So she went to see somebody else and then told the story to somebody there, and then they took her to see a Samanera. And then the Samanera just did some chanting holy water and then gave it to her. So she took the water back and she drank the water. And then it was okay for some time. After the water finished already, the spirit will come again. So she had to come from Malacca, go to Brickfields, go and get another dose. It's just like you go and see a doctor. You finish your medicine, you go for second round. This is very tiring, right? Every time you finish, you got to come back for another dose. So at the end, she felt that she must do something more self-reliant. She went around asking, and then some people say, "Oh, just chant Namo Amitofo," or something like that. So she started to chant Namo Amitofo. And whenever this thing came, she chanted. Then eventually it went away. So now she went to step number what? Step number 2, right? Heart. But that time when she met me, she was still around the stage. So I taught her metta and how to share merits. And after that, I don't know, I haven't heard from her already. Then I have a personal experience when I was with Sayadaw Pandita in the US in 1984 in Massachusetts, Insight Meditation Society. You see, Theravada monks have got certain Vinaya rules. We are not supposed to sleep in the same building as women are sleeping, although we are in different rooms and different wings, if they are connected by a common corridor, common access. So the Westerners, they don't know because it's the first time they invited Sayadaw and myself there. They don't know about this rule. Eventually, when they found out about it, they put Sayadaw in the kitchen. with all the onion smell and all that. They put me in a caravan at the edge of the forest. Inside Meditation Society is actually a very large place. It's situated at the edge of a forest. There they also park a fiberglass canoe. So I also had problem. At night, you will be hearing something scratching the kitchen ceiling. Nothing could have gone inside here, but you can still hear the scratch. Our cook is a Burmese. He and his wife came together with, So the wife was in the kitchen one day. In the afternoon, she was in the kitchen alone. And then suddenly the table leg just flew off. She was scared and ran out of the kitchen. And then during interview time, we asked Sharon Salzberg. Sharon Salzberg and Joseph Goldstein at that time were the ones who started IMS, Inside Meditation Society. Sado asked her, "Do you believe in ghosts?" And then she laughed. Then Sado asked her, "Are there ghosts here?" She said there were. And then they got a Christian priest to come and exorcise the ghosts. So apparently not too powerful. Ghosts are still hanging around. Anyway, coming back to my story, I was housed in a caravan. At the time was end of spring, but still it was pretty cold. So when I go to the caravan, it's not heated up, so it's very cold. I have to sleep inside 2 or 3 layers of sleeping bag. The first few days and nights, it was okay. And then after that, one night, I was sleeping there, and then suddenly I woke up. I felt that there's something around me. I feel very uncomfortable. Something moving around in the garage. And then suddenly there was a thump. Something banged my caravan roof. My caravan actually is parked under a garage with another roof. So if anything fell, it would fall on the upper roof, not on my caravan roof, right? It gave me a shock when I woke up. And then I started thinking, how come anything fell, it wouldn't fall on my roof, it would fall on the upper roof. How come this strange thing is happening? Then I sensed something around. I looked out of the window. There was this fiberglass canoe under the moonlight. And then suddenly the thing started to beat, Tum, 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 tum. From one end of the canoe to the other end of the canoe. You can see under the bright moonlight there's no one there. But you can hear the sound. Tum, 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 tum. Very eerie. What do you think I did? I did chanting. Diviso Bhagava Arahang Sama Sambuddho. Chanting also no effect. I say maybe you want merits. So I started to share merits. Also no effect. And I say maybe it's a Christian ghost. Because I chant also it won't go away. I share merits so I don't know how to receive. Because this place was last time a Christian seminary, was bought over by the Inside Meditation Society. EDPSO cannot work, sharing merits cannot work, so I did metta instead. As I did metta, surprisingly the thing stopped. Stop already, say okay lah, finish already, now can go to sleep. The moment I close my eyes and sleep, the thing tung, 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 started again, so I had to do metta. We were playing the game the whole night, Whenever I want to fall asleep, it will start to bang again, and then when I do metta, it will stop. So metta also can help. Some of these ghosts, they want merits, they want metta. Another example is when I was staying in Sarawak. I was staying alone in Kuti. There was also like a jungle area. I walk down to the foothill to collect my food every day. They sort of employed a cook for me because the people there have never seen a Theravada monk before, so you cannot go for peanut butter. I had some misunderstandings with the local natives there. They were surrounding my kuti and getting their kids to surround my kuti and try to frighten me, At night when I'm doing my walking meditation, they would be in the bushes and make sound like animals and things like that. But I was not really scared by them. Anyway, one day when I went down to get my food, then I came back, I had a diarrhea and was vomiting. Now, I don't know it was because of food poisoning or because they did some charm on me. I'm not really sure. But that was a very terrible day for me. I was vomiting and having diarrhea, so I was very weak. The whole day I was dragging myself in the kuti. And they knew about it because they were surrounding my kuti, hiding behind in the bushes. So at night, I lay down on the floor. Really, that time was totally exhausted already. Usually at about 8 o'clock, I would do my evening chanting. They also know I'm doing my evening chanting because they are around. But that night, I couldn't do my evening chanting because I was so weak. I just lie down flat and was doing anapanasati and chanting mentally in my mind. Then suddenly I heard a war cry from the top of a hill, and then they threw something and it fell by the side of my window. And then suddenly I hear sound like somebody whispering and chattering around. I said, they're coming up into my kuti. But actually I already locked the kuti from inside the door. So even if they were outside, they couldn't get in. Then I listened closely. The sound is not coming from outside, The sound is at my ear. And the sound was like playing off a tape recorder, the hissing sound in the background. But they were talking in a language that I cannot understand. And then they broke into a chant. A group of them were chanting in a foreign language, one of the natives' language, I guess. At that time, I wanted to do some chanting, trying to do a heart. But cannot even open my mouth. My whole body was paralyzed. My lips cannot move, my tongue cannot move, cannot chant. Then the thing started to pull me, literally pull my legs. They sent ghosts into my kuti. Pull my leg, pull my ankle. So what can I do? What do you think I did? You share marriage within your one. So I did metta, not chanting metta, no, really radiating metta to them. May you be well and happy. I wish you no harm. Please don't harm me. May you be well and happy. Keep on pulling my leg, pulling my thigh, pull my private part, come to my neck and strangle me. But it was all very playful, That time I was doing metta. So it was just a very short episode. But just to show you that you have to be versatile. One cannot work, you must do the other one. So you must learn everything, all the 5 steps. Don't just learn one and then think that you are secure. Right? So today's talk is on spiritual self-defense. I hope that you all will be able to absorb what I tell you and go back and practice well so that you can protect yourself as well as your friends and members of the family.